Have you ever noticed that sometimes the strongest desire to change your life doesn't come from inspiration? It comes from exhaustion. You want to suddenly quit, you want to leave, you want to walk away, you want to start over somewhere else, maybe with some other person. Now, underneath this desire to just quit everything is a question. And the question is, well, there's two questions. What if the life you're trying to escape isn't actually the problem? What if it's the story that you've been carrying about yourself that's the problem? Because this week's astrology isn't simply asking us to make different choices, it's asking us to release an old identity. Welcome back. I'm Yolanda, and this is your astrology forecast for the week of July 6th to July 12th. And there's a lot happening in the sky that helps explain why so many of us are feeling this way. I'm going to try and keep this video short. So there are horoscopes, but they're going to be quite short, okay, for each sun and rising sign. All right, so let's look at the major players in the sky at the moment. So Mars and Uranus met a few days ago. They were conjunct on the 3rd of July, and together they created a sudden insight. They brought around, or brought about unexpected conversations, breakthroughs, and an almost overwhelming desire to change direction. Now, before you burn your life down, remember that insight arrives much faster than wisdom. Okay? So first you have the realization, and then, as with any good drink or anything that's about to ferment, it takes a while. It reminds me of kombucha or something. You have to ferment a while, and then this turns into wisdom. Anyway, this week may show what you need to change. It doesn't necessarily mean you have to change it immediately. Then we also have Jupiter and Chiron in a square. And, Jupiter is the expander. He wants to expand everything he touches. And right now in Leo, Jupiter is inviting you to grow, to take up more space, to become more visible, and to receive more from life. Chiron does something different. Chiron asks you, Chiron in Taurus asks you, do you really believe that you deserve what you're asking for? So we are constantly asking for things. We're constantly desiring. This is the normal state of being, by the way. To desire is very human and necessary. And Jupiter is he wants to give, he wants you to be more abundant, he wants you to be open, hence the reason we call him the great expander. But if you are physically, emotionally not ready to receive, if you haven't built the capacity to receive, this is what Chiron is saying. How can you possibly be ready to receive? So every time life offers us something bigger, more love, more success, more visibility, more abundance, it also reveals to us the part that still feels small, that still feels I'm not ready, that still feels I'm not good enough, that someone else deserves this more than I do. And, again, this is not a failing on your part. I don't want you to be listening to me and thinking, oh gosh, I'm such a failure. No, all this is, and this is what Chiron is doing, and this is how Chiron operates. Chiron is saying, well, here's the wound. I've made it visible for you, so you can finally heal it. You can't heal something you are not aware of. Okay. Okay, so today, July the 6th, the sun is square Saturn, and it's an exact square. So the sun is in Cancer and Saturn is in Aries. And on the surface, this is going to look like and may manifest as tension with a boss, tension with a parent, especially the father, or another authority figure. And yes, all of that possible, but it's probably also going to reflect an authority figure that already lives inside you. What am I talking about? I am talking about the voice that says, not yet. That voice in your head, Aries is the head, that voice in your head that's saying, oh, you should know more. You should have known better. You're not ready. So this week's astrology is asking you, whose voice is that? And does that voice still deserve to shape your life? Okay, right. And one last thing before we get into the horoscopes. So the moon is in her waning gibbous phase, people. Waning. The moon is waning. What? What? Excuse me, what does this mean? Very important that you always pay attention to the moon. The moon, very important. Because when the moon is waning, the moon is saying it's not the time to force things. Do not force things. Do not push. It's a time for releasing. Remember as well, Mercury is retrograde. But anyway, the waning moon reminds us that before life fills our hands with something new, it's asking us to unclench our fists, to let go. So this week, notice where you are ready to let go, not just of an old habit, perhaps an old belief, perhaps, you have to stop believing that you have to earn love. Stop believing that visibility is not safe. And that asking for more is somehow more selfish. These are the kind of things that you might be facing at this time or coming up for you this week. Right, because those beliefs may be the very thing that are preventing you from receiving everything that Jupiter is trying to give you, trying to expand. So, at the end of each day, what can you ask yourself? And if you are a journaler, keep a journal like I do. This is a good question to ask yourself every day this week. What did I release today? Maybe you released resentment. Maybe you released self-criticism. And this is a lifelong task, by the way. You don't, you have to work on this daily. Maybe you've released the need to have all the answers. So the waning moon reminds us that healing isn't you don't heal by adding. You heal sometimes by subtracting, right? Removing, by releasing. Actually, almost always. Okay. So this week isn't asking you to become someone new. It may simply be asking you to stop carrying a version of yourself that you've already outgrown. Now let's look at what this means for each sun and rising sign. Okay, Aries, sun and rising. So I'm going to try and keep every horoscope here quite short. But Aries, what you need to know is that you're probably experiencing tension or conflict with someone at home. So it could be a parent that you are, in conflict with, or, like just things aren't going, so you're not agreeing on things. And it could be something to do with how you want to literally expand or make changes. So you could be wanting to renovate, you could be wanting to maybe bring someone or something, someone into, not something. Well, it could be a thing that you want to bring in that whoever you're sharing space with is in disagreement with. It could be another pet, or it could be another person. You could be wanting to, a, a lover to move in with you, whatever it is. And there could be tension there. It definitely is tension in the home front. And let's see what else is there. And the tension could also be around money and expenses. Whoever it is that you are in conflict with is probably saying you can't afford this right now, or you shouldn't do this right now, or something like that. But definitely Money is also coming up as a wound. Yeah, it's a how can I say, it's a regular theme, it's a constant theme, like an abundance issue, or you need to shift your mentality around this, your mindset. Okay, so yes, Aries Sun and Rising. Let me know if this resonated. Do leave a comment. Taurus, Sun and Rising. So again, I'm trying to keep these horoscopes quite short. Right, you will be experiencing tension probably this week, or some sort of disagreement or conflict arises from words that are spoken, things that are said. Uh, and what I'm seeing is that you possibly are it's possibly someone who you respect, possibly a teacher, possibly a priest, someone in from, a priest, a religious figure, right? Someone like that, rabbi. There's some sort of where they say something that may ring true, but may also be experienced by you as hurtful. It could also be someone like a guru, someone you look up to. They say something and it hurts you. It could even be a therapist, But anyway, it's words that really hurt home. They hurt, they hit home, but they also hurt. So be careful of that. It's a very psychologically intense week. However, whatever comes up at this time, Taurus, is actually for your benefit. It is helping you release an old identity so you can start receiving more, uh, start this process of believing that you're worthy of more, that you're good enough, right? And how this is going to benefit you ultimately is to help you bring more into your immediate space, into your physical space. It could, lead to marriage, commitment, a family. So yeah, Taurus, there's a lot that I could go into. Yeah, but anyway, do let me know if this is resonating with you. Gemini. So, Gemini, this week there is possible conflict with a friend, a misunderstanding, or it could already be in play right now. Misunderstanding with a friend, confusion. Um, it doesn't have to be anything major, Gemini, but certainly, yeah, you feel like maybe a friend has let you down. Uh, or maybe you feel like you've been deceived, possibly. It's some sort of deception. Um, this is all again pointing to a like a wound, Chiron in the 12th house, a psychological issue, not necessarily yours, of course, Gemini, but it could be that you are still holding on to yeah, like the very first thing that came is feelings of betrayal, old betrayal, and this is still clouding your relationships, your interactions with others. You've been betrayed before, and now you feel that maybe this person that you're dealing with has betrayed you or is going to betray you, and so you're in this you're like predicting or expecting, and this is not the way you should be moving through this week. Gemini, focus on releasing these beliefs around you, or people deceive you. It is limiting beliefs around people and whether or not they are good to you, whether they are, whether they're going to betray you again. Your identity is, though, going through a radical shift, right? You've suddenly realized a thing or two about the story you've been telling yourself about yourself. Okay, Gemini, do let me know if this resonated for you. So Cancer, Sun and Rising Cancer, this is just, a lot of you're experiencing a change in your identity, the way you see yourself. Things are changing for you. Um, Jupiter is giving you more money, is certainly doing his absolute best here to bring more money into your life, more abundance. And the wound that you possibly have to deal with here coming up this week is the sense that people let you down, or that you can't really trust people, or that people are going to betray you. That might be coming in, or that you've been, maybe you have had, unpleasant experiences with groups of people before, and this may be coming up at this time, and you're doubting, you're doubting the goodness in others, right? Doubting that people mean well, that they want the best for you. So you have to work through those, these negative beliefs, right? What else is happening here is you may have a moment, some conflict, experience tension with a boss, someone, a superior, someone above you, an authority figure. It could just also be that you are limiting your own growth, your own career success, success within, out there, with, by hiding your light, by not showing more of yourself, by not being more visible. So that could be also an issue coming up for you, Cancer. Let me know if this is resonating with you. Do leave a comment. Okay, Leo, Sun and Rising. So Leo, this week is very interesting. I mean, I don't have access to your personal placements in your birth chart, but okay, there's two ways that this week is going to play out. Things are going to unfold either one way or the other. One is the Saturn square, Saturn Sun square is going to result in good news, because this Chiron you also square Jupiter. It's like a reward. What's happening here is either you're going to receive good news, possibly around a job. You may receive notice that that you've got the job and you're going to start a new job, or it could be conflict in the workspace with someone who is in a mentorship position, someone senior. It could even be someone from another culture, and this may expose you to prejudice. Maybe you become aware of your own prejudices. Maybe you feel that you are the victim of prejudice, something like that. People are judging you unfairly, a higher up kind of thing, someone you feel like you've been picked on. But I do get the sense this is a reward because Jupiter's just moved into your first house. So it's leaning more like either a promotion or a new job or recognition at work. And it is possibly going to heal a wound that is around around work, whether or not you are not only eligible for it, but whether you are worthy of promotion, whether you're worthy of the attention and recognition. So anything that you've been carrying around, that any self-doubt, that might be that might be blown away this week. You may suddenly start feeling more self-assured, more confident. Anyway, Leo, let me know. I mean, because it could go either way. It could also be that you're feeling wounded in the workplace because of maybe you're just like a victim of sexism or racism or something like that. Anyway, let me know, Leo, Sun and Rising. Virgo, Sun and Rising. So this week, the challenge, the conflict, there may be conflict arising. Oh, okay, right. Wow. So, it depends on your planets, Virgo. So this is just a very general, broad overview here, general reading. You could be fighting with someone over an inheritance. You could be fighting with an insurance company, conflict with that, an insurance company or someone working in insurance or someone It could be even more intimate than that. It could be an older lover you could be fighting with. It could be fighting with a therapist or a misunderstanding with a therapist, or you move on to another therapist. You've had enough. I do like the first thing that came to mind is inheritance issues, payout issues, right? So you're fighting for more money. The wound here has something what you're trying to work through here, Virgo, is it could even be grief. You are grieving. There's just deep grief, and you're trying to work through it. And yeah, let me just put this out there, Virgo. Again, I don't have access to your birth chart, but I can assure you that the solution here, or possibly the best medicine for this at this time, whatever you're experiencing, is to seek counsel from a mentor, a teacher, possibly, preferably someone who is spiritually inclined. So maybe a priest, rabbi, a spiritual coach. That is possibly the best way for you to go, because yeah, I think the primary thing that you're dealing with here, Virgo, is grief. But yeah, leave a comment. Let me know. Let me know if this is resonating. Okay, Libra, Sun and Rising. So Libra, Sun and Rising, the possible conflict, whatever that's going on at work for you, this week is work related, Libra. Um, and it's the way people are seeing you, and the way the way they're seeing you, and also the projections, um, their projections on you. What am I saying here, Libra? So it could be that they are expecting you to have more authority or more power, but you do not have the capacity at this time to make any reasonable changes or suggest any changes in the workplace. You also are not in the position to get into a contract, or you should not be signing any contracts at this time, because you will not get there's something is not clear or is not being disclosed. If you are Libra, if you are thinking of signing a contract right now, I wouldn't, because there is something hasn't been disclosed. But if you are already employed, there is much being expected of you, but you're not in that position. Does that make sense? You are not actually hired. You don't have that role, and people are demanding a lot. So it's not like in your contract, basically, is what I'm saying. So some conflict around that, some tension experienced there around that. And then the other thing that is working its way here is there may be a open wound here relating to friends, a friend in particular, or maybe a group of friends. You may be feeling not included, or you may be feeling like there isn't, it's a superficial kind of friendship, or it's just in this network of people that you're involved with, it's very superficial, and you're wanting something deeper, something more real. Right. Okay. Let me know, Libra, if this is resonating with you. It feels like you are wanting more intimacy, more more intimacy, more clarity, and it's not really available to you this week. Let me know, Libra, Sun and Rising, if that's making sense. Okay, Scorpio, Sun and Rising. So what we have here is possible conflict, tension at work this week. And And it could be any number of things, Scorpio, Sun and Rising. I don't have access to your birth chart, but yes, just a few things that it could be. It could be that you do not feel you have the proper training for whatever is being asked of you at this time at work, so you require more training. It could be that they bring in a trainer and you're not very happy with the quality of the training, or there's some sort of tension between you and whoever is teaching you, training, whatever is going on there, guiding you. It could also be something more like you just something else, like you have hired a personal trainer and maybe you're disappointed in this personal trainer, or perhaps this personal trainer is demanding a lot of you and you just not feeling like you are keeping up with that. The other thing here is, again, depends on your birth chart. It could be that you are sad right now, or there's a problem with a pet, right? Possibly an older pet, an aging pet, right? The pet is suffering. I'm not even going to go into deeper things there, but that's possibly another thing that you're dealing with right now, a Scorpio Sun and Rising. And then the other, this Chiron square with Jupiter, that's, it's still in play here. And Mars, Uranus there in Gemini, it's a couple of things there, Scorpio. One of them is that you have a sudden enlightenment, sudden awareness around a relationship, a lover, or even possibly a partner. There's a wound there around intimacy, sex, death even. You could have suddenly lost a partner. I don't know what's happened suddenly, rather recently in your life, but there are wounds there around loss, but also intimacy. Okay, we'll keep it at that. Scorpio, Sun and Rising, let me know if this resonated with you. Sagittarius, Sun and Rising. So the challenge this week, or the tension, is possibly arising with a child. Um, it could even be a grandchild. And it may have something to do with it could be psychological issues with this child. It could also be a lover, an older lover, and issues of intimacy coming up. Again, it depends on your chart. I don't have access to your birth charts. But issues around intimacy, creativity, children, maybe you want a child, maybe you feel, and you've been trying really hard and you've been feeling very despondent about this and it's bringing you down. This, just give it some time. Again, I would have to look at your birth chart. The other thing that's happened is, Sagittarius, Sun and Rising, you could actually be going, a separation right now, apart. Your husband, wife, your spouse may have left. You may have broken up with a lover. That is highly likely. Again, depending on your birth chart, but that's probably the most likely scenario. Yeah, is that you have separated or broken up from a lover, moved on. And really, where you're called to heal, or where you find healing at this time, is if you're thinking of traveling, exploring other places, now's a good time to travel. Now's really a good time to just get away. Okay, Sagittarius, Sun and Rising, let me know if this resonated with you. Okay, Capricorn, so a couple of things going on here. Capricorn, Sun and Rising, it could go either way, depends on your chart placements. But what I'm seeing here is possible contract work coming in, a reward for your efforts. If you've been looking for work where you actually start working from home, is a possibility, right? So a contract comes in, or your business partnership. You sign on with a business partnership. Hopefully this all happened before Mercury went retrograde. You know, If not, then there is always the possibility that not everything has been disclosed. But anyway, and the other thing that could happen here is the end of a partnership, right? And again, depends on your placements, Capricorn, Sun, and Rising. There could also be issues around intimacy with a lover. So this is one of those weeks where you maybe there is some sort of conflict or discussion around intimacy. Perhaps you want more intimacy with your partner or a lover and you're not getting it. Issues around those kind of things, sex, intimacy. But there is also the possibility of yeah, there could even be the possibility of a child leaving and you become now an empty nester and feelings arise there. It's like a new era for your close relationship, your marriage. Those kind of things are all coming up this week as well. Anyway, let me know, Capricorn, Sun, and Rising, if this is resonating with you. Aquarius, Sun, and Rising. So, Aquarius, the possible conflict this week may arise, with how you're communicating, but could also be with siblings. So just, be careful with the words that you're choosing, how you're communicating. Siblings, you may not be on the same page with a sibling. You may not be on the same page with a neighbor, or a neighbor is just, irritating you more than usual or something like that. Aquarius, Sun, and Rising. This it's not going to be a major thing, but I do recommend that you watch your words, Aquarius, Sun, and Rising. You want to be triple checking things before you possibly send out that message, that email. And it might impact your work, right? Sun in the sixth house, it might impact your job. You want to be cautious here. What else can I see here? Some of us, Aquarius Sun and Rising, I am an Aquarius Rising. There may be, some of us have recently separated from a lover. We may be, healing from healing from a broken heart, whatever the case may be. Or a child has left the home. Certainly there's some sort of separation possible. It depends on your chart. Okay, do let me know, Aquarius, Sun, and Rising, if this resonated with you. And now, Pisces, Sun, and Rising. So this week there is possible tension or conflict around money, right? Around money being spent on having a good time, right? You want to have more joy, you want to play more, you want to have more fun, you want to spend more time in the sun, right, Pisces? And it might be that you do not have the funds for that at this time. And this is also where, the Chiron Jupiter squares coming in with this abundance mindset. You do want to be practical. You want to be realistic. So you don't want to be overspending on holidays and trips and what have you. But the temptation is there, Pisces, and you may be, speaking, you and your partner may be in conflict around this, and is definitely money related, abundance related. If you are not in a partnership, it could be that you are fine, money wise, you have the money, you just don't, you don't, you have this abundance, you just don't feel you can spend the money, and so you're just being unnecessarily tight-fisted at this time. And the moon, waning gibbous moon, is asking you to just unclench your fists and spend some time and go out there and have some fun, right? Go out there and have some fun. If you have the money, go for it, is what I'm saying. If you don't have the money, you have to be realistic, Pisces. Okay. All right. Do let me know, Pisces, Sun and Rising, if this resonated with you. Thank you for being here. I wish you a happy and a safe week ahead, and do love hearing from you. So please leave a comment. And if you have not yet subscribed and you find my videos helpful, please remember to subscribe. I will see you in the next video.